Hey everyone, Jordan Lee here, and I'm a mortgage loan originator based in Portland, Oregon, and I'm licensed to do business in 12 states. And I wanted to talk with you really quick about the market, the housing market, and just kind of address the noise that's out there about a bubble, about collapse, about interest rates, and give you some data and facts so that you can make an informed decision on your own. So the reason for this presentation is, well, look at this. I went onto Google here and I started typing in, is there a how? And it's just, is there a housing bubble, housing shortage, housing recession? Everything, everyone's a little bit nervous. And sometimes when you are nervous, it can cause you to make emotional decisions that aren't based on data or facts. So if you can see here that this thought of a bubble has been around for a while, back in 2015. Bubble larger than 2006. 2017, homeownership doesn't build wealth, study find. That's crazy, because if you would have bought a home in 2017, it'd be worth a lot more than it is today. It's better to rent than buy in this market. 2018, 2019, housing market's about to shift. So you can see that this is a repeating story, and it's a headline that sells, right? Headlines, people want, you need to drive clicks in order to sell your ads. And negative news always sells well. We do anticipate appreciation to cool off. So previously we'd seen as much as 20% year over year appreciation. In the most recent CoreLogic Case-Shiller report, we're seeing as low as 8.8%, and I say as low as, which is incredibly high and incredibly meaningful appreciation year over year. Moving forward, they're forecasting a lot less, more like 4%. But even if you see 2% appreciation, it's really strong and meaningful towards building generational wealth. So if you were to purchase a $400,000 home with 10% down and get 2% appreciation over the next year, that would yield $8,000 in equity, which is a 20% return on your $40,000 investment. And that's the beauty of leveraging and getting a mortgage. And if you take into account amortization or principal payoffs, basically every month you're paying yourself in addition to interest, it does pay off about $21,500 over 5 years. And really the beauty of it is that you can improve your home and build equity on your own. So if we look at comparing net worth in our country of people that own homes versus people that rent, it's quite a discrepancy. So it doesn't really matter what income bracket. That's not true. It does matter slightly, the income bracket. If you go over basically $200,000 of annual income, the ownership equity is only a little bit over renters' savings. But in every other bracket, it's just not even, it's not even close how much more wealth and generational wealth you will build by owning a home versus renting. And even at the upper levels where renters do save as much as homeowners gain in equity, homeowners also are able to save additionally, like into their 401k or whatever. And what I think about when I think about homeownership and equity is you get the annual appreciation, yes, and you have the principal pay down as well. So I see it as kind of a forced savings account. It's basically another 401k or IRA that you're forced to save into, and you can leverage in different ways. And that's actually why I got into real estate and what keeps me interested in investing in real estate. So you may or may not have heard about incoming recession if we're not already in one. In 2022, both first and second quarter, we're showing negative GDP, which is kind of the Wall Street definition, 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP of a recession, but it hasn't been officially declared yet. So typically home values do well during recession. So here, these gray areas are showing recessionary periods. And generally speaking, housing either remains at value or goes up during these recessionary periods. Of course, during the 2008 housing crisis, home values did go down significantly, which we all remember. But in every other one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of the last 9, home values did go up or stay the same. Of course, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it can be a good indicator of the future. And so let's talk a little bit about mortgage rates. They are, compared to the last 12 years, mortgage rates are pretty high. But really, if we go back historically, mortgage rates are still like closer to historic lows than they are to historic highs. And if you look at this 52-year average, it's closer to 8%, really. So rates are still below the historic average and still overall in a good position. And if we do have a recession, a traditional recession, and the normal things do happen, generally speaking, rates come down during a recession. So if you look at these gray areas, recessionary periods, rates go down, rates go down, rates go down, rates go down. This one, rates did go up a little bit at the end of this recession. They kind of ended where they started. But generally speaking, rates come down during recession, which would create an opportunity to refinance, and it would also create additional demand for houses, which would support prices. So it's important to remember that supply and demand are what determine home values and really the values of any goods, right? If you look at the cost of oil or gas, it's 100% determined by how many barrels OPEC is releasing or how much we've tapped into our national reserve. That controls the price because it controls the amount of supply available. Same thing with housing. And so you can see here with vacancy rates that they've really, they're just crazy low, historic low, which will continue to prompt demand. And the supply is just low. And if you look at rentals, we're in the same thing, near historic lows, and it's going to continue to support values. Additionally, when we're talking about supply, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that there aren't as many homes being built as there were in this last decade. That in the 2010s, about half the number of homes when adjusted for population, so proportional to population, we've built a lot less than what we've normally built in all the other decades. We built a ton in the 60s and the 70s, but the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, we still built a solid amount. But in the last decade, we built half of what we had been building, which will continue to support prices because there's a lot of demand and not a lot of supply again. And if you look at our population demographics, really for the next 25, 30 years, there's going to continue to be really strong demand, especially in the first-time homebuyer category, which is about 30% of home purchases. There's just an overwhelming amount of our population is in that age group, and that will continue, again, to support prices. Thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to give you some of the facts and data so that you can make an informed decision on home purchases. I think real estate is a really valuable investment and a great tool for building generational wealth.